Hello everyone, welcome back to the Power BI tutorials. In this video, we will see that what is a matrix and how can we create a matrix in Power BI. But before going into the topic of matrix, let us first understand that what is the need of matrix. Matrix is actually used to represent data just like a table, but it does in a 2D format, while table does it in a 1D format. So that is the basic difference between a matrix and a table. Now the question that must come to your mind is, why do we needed the matrix if we already had the table? So there are a few shortcomings of representing the data through table which were actually solved by the use of a matrix, and that is why we are using matrix as well as table nowadays. So what are these shortcomings? We will see it with the help of an example. First of all, you can see in your screens that I have opened my Power BI. Now I'm going to create a table. So for that, I need to go to this visualizations pane and click on table. Then I'm going to add some of the columns to it, like the region column, the item column, and the units column. So this is my table in which what I have got is the region. There are three regions, the central, east and the west region. Then I have got the items. So if you take a look at these items, then what I am getting is, for the central region I have got the list of binders, that how many units of the binders were sold. Then again for the binder, there is a separate entry for the east region, that how many binders were sold in the east region. And again for the binders, there is an entry for the west region, that how many binders were sold in the west region. Okay. Now if I just try to sort this table on the basis of the item itself, so I've got these three separate entries for binder, 2 for desk, 3 for pens, and so on. So there are separate entries for the same product, that is separate rows have been taken. Now what is my concern over here is, suppose I want to show that how many total number of binders were sold despite of the fact that the region I cannot make out. I have to just manually calculate this sum, and then I would be able to tell that how many total number of binders were sold. But this is only a small quantity, so I can just calculate it manually, but this is not the case in the corporate world. There are millions of entries and you need to calculate the data from it, so manual calculation is just out of context. So for this purpose, we have the use of a matrix. A matrix is a two-dimensional form, so it would just organize this data into a 2D format, and this data would be represented in a much more user-friendly way. How? So first of all, we will see that how can we create a matrix from the table that is already created. Right now this table is already created, so what I'm going to do is make sure that my table is selected, and then I can go to the visualizations pane, and here is this matrix option that is just beside the table option. And if I just click on it, then what happens is, you see that the table that we had just now is now converted into a matrix. Now I can make sure that this is my matrix. I have got the entry for the region, and I have got the entry for the items, and I have got the entry for the totals. So from this matrix, I can very easily find out that how many number of binders were sold in the central region, how many number of binders were sold in the east and the west region, and then I can make out that how many total number of binders were sold, that is 722, in these three regions. Then there is another interesting thing. I can find out that how many total sales or how many units were sold totally in a central region, that is 1199 units were sold totally. Similarly in the east region and the west region as well. So that is the beauty of matrix. It gives you insights into data that were not possible with a table. Some of the interesting insights that table was not able to give you. Now this is a two-dimensional format of data. We are getting the entries for the region and the items as well. But suppose you want the heading of the region for the columns and the heading of the items for the rows. Then you can see over here that in the rows we right now are having region, but you can just drag region into columns and you can drag items into the rows. So basically that is how a matrix works. A matrix has three values: the rows, the columns, and the values. In the rows field, you can just get anything that you want, and it would find the rows like this in the columns over here, and the values are what is represented over here. Now here we are only having units. Suppose instead of units you want the totals as well. Suppose you want it to compare on the basis of two values. Then what you can do is you can just drag more than one value into this values column, and then what you can see is we are getting two columns over here. In the central region, that is a super heading, we are getting two subheadings, that is the units and the total, that is total of 424 units were sold, which is worth rupees 5762.63. So this is the case for all of them, like east, west, and the total as well, that is how many units were sold and what is the worth of these units. Similarly over here also we can get that how many total units were sold in central region and what is the worth of these units. So this is a beauty of matrix. It helps you to get a better insights into the data. Now suppose if we just get rid of this totals column, there are all the things that you can do with a matrix that were possible through a table. That is, you can just format the matrix just like a table. You can apply conditional formatting to a matrix just like a table. So let us understand this conditional formatting part with the help of an example. So for that purpose, as in the table, you need to go to the format tab, and then what you can do is just scroll down and go to conditional formatting. So I'm going to format it based upon the units, because we know that only on the basis of the numerical values or the numerical columns only we can actually format the data. And I'm just going to apply icons. So if I just click on, then what happens is I'm getting these kind of symbols, that is green circle, red diamond, and yellow triangle. But what if I want to customize it? Now we know that to customize anything, to customize the conditional formatting, we can go to advanced controls, and here you can see that this is for the units. In this we have got rules. So rules is used to format the icons. Suppose what is it? These are the rules that have been laid out over here, that if the value is greater than or equal to 0% and is less than 33%, then it is shown by this diamond. But instead of percent, you can just go with number, and number over here for all the values. Actually we can just go with number. Okay, and then we need to just change it, like if it is from 0 to say 400, then we get this. If it is from 400 till say 800, we can get a number. If it is from 800 till what value we have? We have actually 2000, so we can just go with 1000 or a 1200. Okay, then we can just change the icons as well as per our wish. We want a red down arrow, suppose we want say this thing, yellow exclamation mark, and we want this thing, and for the red also we want this cross sign. So this is what we can do. We can just change the rules, we can change the way the icons look, and as soon as we click on OK, then what happens is we are getting all these values, right? Cross, that means they are less than 400. For more than 400 it's like this. So let us just change a rule, because we are not getting any kind of a correct tick. So it is from 400 till say 450, and from 450 to whatever it is, we can just click on OK. So we have got this tick for 498 values. So this is how you can just change the rules. This is how you can apply conditional formatting over the matrix, and this is very similar to a table. Suppose instead of icons you wanted to apply data bars, you can just click on and the data bars would be applied to your data. Basically working with a table and a matrix is same. Everything that you could do with a table you can easily do with a matrix, and just as we saw in the table, we can apply each and everything in the matrix as well. Now suppose you are not happy with the way this matrix looks and you want to change its theme. So for that purpose you can just go to this view tab, and there are these some themes given to you which you can work on, or you can just change for the current theme. Like you can go to customize current theme. Suppose you can just go to text and you can just change its size to say 20, and you can click on apply. Now what happens is by default the size of the matrix, the text size would be 20. You can just show these grid lines over here, and anything that you want you can just work with it. or if you want to just change the way it is looking, like the column headers you want to change, you can just go and change its background color, say blue, and then you can see it is applied. So that is how what is the use of a matrix, and that's how you can create and format a matrix in Power BI. That's all in this video. Thanks for watching.